should we trick people into engaging with our content?
If you want better results, I would say yes. It's unfortunate to some degree, but it's the world that we live in right now.
What if the reason your content isn't working has nothing to do with your expertise?
It exploded. One video in particular, it got about 22 million views and it's driven about 300,000 subscribers.
My guest today is Austin Armstrong, creator, strategist, and author of the new book called Virality.
Starting and recognizing that you are enough and that every piece of content that you create, there's one thing that you can do a little bit better in the next video.
He's generated billions of views, helped creators get paid, and learn the hard way what actually makes content spread.
Occasionally you might ruffle a feather or two, but welcome to the internet.
Today we get to talk about one of the topics that continues to be hot today, which is how do you get attention? How do you go viral? How do you get people to notice the things that you're doing, your ideas?
Yeah.
And you have a book that came out called Virality, your playbook for how to use AI and social media marketing to go viral and get paid. That just came out in December 2025. So we'll dive into some of that today too. But I'd love to start with a little bit about YouTube. There's a quote in your book. After studying my 600 failures, one truth became crystal clear. If I gave the information away in the title, performance tanked. But when I created intrigue, views skyrocketed.
Yep.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So really, when I switched from titling it like useful website that helps you rank on Google, too SEO specific, way too focused on search, which is an entirely different algorithm than what the short shelf wanted. And when I switched to top 5 most useful websites, useful website you should know, brand new AI tool to make money, just something broad, views skyrocketed because intrigue went up. The 600 video failures is really true. It took me about 3 years to get to 5,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is not that bad. You know, it's great, but I see that play button behind you as well. You know, we're ambitious marketers. I wanted that play button as well. And credit where credit's due, my good friend Jeremy Vest and I got together and started just masterminding and studying as much YouTube Shorts content as we could in every niche possible, titles, length of video, if they looped, opening hooks, spoken verbally versus visual hooks, the actual structure of the content, everything that we could possibly study, critiquing each other's content. And I got to a point where I wasn't just dumping all of my TikTok content over, even though it was all niche specific, it was all digital marketing focused. When I switched to only uploading my sort of listicle oriented videos of these 5 websites feel illegal to know and titling it top 5 most useful websites, I think I did maybe 3 a day for probably 2 weeks straight just to test that theory. It exploded. One video in particular exploded. It got about 22 million views and it's driven about 300,000 subscribers. And it unlocked the entire channel, 49-second video. And so that was a long-winded answer for just go broad because you'll appeal to more people.
I think that has been one of the big epiphanies for me in general, is this idea of going broad. Tell me more about why that seems to work. What have you been noticing about that for you?
Well, if you look at a good content funnel, you've got at the top of the funnel the broad awareness oriented content. This is where you at the highest level bring new people into your ecosystem, right? And that tends to be where I stay because I'm constantly in growth mode. I believe in the philosophy of all boats rise with the tide. Your baseline level of views will increase if your overall follower count and engagement increases. So I like to increase that. In the middle of the funnel, you have the awareness oriented content, nurturing oriented content. This is where you can do those more deep dive specific tutorial videos, talk about a particular point, share a thing that you're an expert at, that you have something to say on, social commentary, just going deep on the thing. And then at the bottom of the funnel, of course, you have the conversion oriented content. Buy my thing, limited time offers. I'm having a webinar coming up. And so when you stay in that top of the funnel content, it needs to be broad. Broad for me is not the world. You still need to know who you're trying to reach. You need to have your ideal client persona, audience demographic outlined and understand who that is. So for me, broad top of funnel content is useful websites that feel illegal to know, but all of the websites are specific for marketing, productivity, sales, advertising, content creation, make money, because those tools would only be useful for a business owner, an entrepreneur, or an aspiring business owner, entrepreneur, or content creator. So I'm just trying to get those people into my ecosystem because I can funnel them and do everything later on. But yeah, by sticking broad, but still knowing who that broad audience is for your use case, you're going to get far better results. You're going to reach a lot more people, get a lot more engagement.
Yeah, I definitely think that rings true for a lot of us, like creators out there that are really trying to be experts in our market. And, we want to talk to the right people. I think
Yep.
there's this challenge of figuring out, well, how do we go broad, but then speak to our audience, and what's the yin yang there? What's your strategy for someone who has been creating content like you have or I had for years that isn't getting traction, and they're trying to own their niche? How do they go from that to creating some type of more broadly appealing content?
Yeah. So when I owned an agency, we used to take people through a pretty meticulous process of outlining a content strategy. So we would start with a spreadsheet, and basically you don't know what's going to be quality until you test. And so you have to put best guesses and test in a systematic way that's going to basically process of elimination show you what's going to perform best. Don't just scattershot ideas. So let me give you an example of like a therapist, for instance, they need people who need therapy at the broadest level. This one client comes to mind, Jim. There's a lot of things that he can help. His core area of expertise that he wanted the most clients in is LGBTQ affirming therapy. That was his thing. But he also is able to confidently talk about marriage counts and couples counseling, depression and anxiety, substance abuse, and he also happened to be an expert in narcissism. And so we have all of these core categories outlined. And then we looked at what are the top performing videos already doing well from other creators in those niches. We do the research on just what's already going viral. How are they structuring the content in a unique, interesting way? Doing some keyword research and looking what people are searching for online. Can you take some of those top performing pieces of content and remix it or make it your own and apply your personality to a proven winning format of content? Or maybe something new where there's, in my instance, I'm not the first person to talk about useful websites on the internet. And how I executed that content was sort of in this skit where I'm talking to myself and have this little narrative of I say these 5 websites feel legal to know, and I'm in a different outfit responding and saying if they're illegal, then why would you tell me? And then I share a website and I react to that website. So I'm not the first person to have that skit style either, but I was very likely the first person to combine those two aspects to remix into something new that's something fresh, but also feels relatable. And so if you can figure out like these are viral topics and how can you communicate those viral topics in a new, fresh way? So you're not just like adding to the noise, you're communicating in a new way. That's where real virality can happen. And so just by systematically going through that process of like doing a video in category A, doing a video in category B, doing a video in category C, and you stick with that, I like to do tests of at least 10 to 15 videos in each category, testing different topics, testing different delivery styles. The data will tell you. The data, you'll clearly see, okay, this video on this topic, most of my content gets 1,000 views. This video did 10,000 views. Well, let me see if there's something there. So let me then double down, and rather than continuing the experimentation, I'm going to test that theory. I'm going to do another video in that format on that topic, maybe a part two, maybe something expanded, maybe a separate question that's adjacent to that. And then if that video also does 10,000 or maybe it does 50,000 this time, well, heck, now you've got a series. Now you can continue to go down that rabbit hole. I'm doing one right now called ChatGPT Secrets You Should Know. The first one in that series that I did 1.1 million. So I'm like, okay, idea instantly validated. And now 90% of the videos that I do that follow that exact framework, same opening hook, same opening shot, same opening like 10 seconds, and then I switch the content out and have the same call to action every time, I'm going viral every single time. I think 3 of those videos have done 1 million plus views. 10 of them have done multiple hundreds of thousands. Several of them have done tens of thousands. And so it's just testing and then testing those theories once you see the outlier.
I'm hoping people slow down because there's already 2 massive shifts in thinking that if you're trying to break through, that you have to find. And one was you have to be more broadly appealing, and how do you do that? But
Yep.
the second
Yeah.
is finding these recurring series, this
Yeah.
format, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't think we think like that. We want to, like, we're one and done half the time. But in the book, you outline like these are just titles, but you're like, here are some winning title patterns that you can copy today. And let me share like what 4 of them are, and we could talk about it. One was these X things feel illegal to know, which you just
Yep.
said. Another one is here's what no one tells you about X.
Hmm.
Another one, X websites that will change your life. And then one more, most people are doing X wrong. And now, if you think about these, we've probably heard these in some shape or form, and we've come across them in a short form reel, in a TikTok, in a YouTube video. But how many people are doing these? A lot. And the idea is, I feel like there's so many of them that kind of fit formats like this. What is a good way to come up with what your copy could be? So what one of these patterns could be, what one of these recurring series could be?
Yeah. Curiosity gap is an almost like a negative hook. 2 of those examples that you just referenced from the book, things nobody tells you about X, right? That could be done for pretty much any industry. I was just chatting with a friend who's a grief counselor earlier this week, and he's working on that exact series. Things nobody tells you about being a grief counselor. That's really an interesting hook. If I scroll on that, I may or may not be interested in grief counseling in general, but I want to know what I don't know. So it creates the curiosity gap there. And then same thing with the negative hook, things that XYZ industry get wrong, things that most financial planners get wrong, things that most social media influencers get wrong, things that 99% of podcasters get wrong. If you're in any of those spaces, you're interested, like, oh, I'm a podcaster. Am I a part of the 99%? What is that thing? You want to create a curiosity gap. So you just think about it. First of all, please use those 2. You can go into ChatGPT and ask it what are some great opening hooks that create a curiosity gap. We're all using AI at this point, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini, Claude, Grok, DeepSeek, whatever your flavor of the month is. Something that just creates a little bit of a curiosity gap. One thing that I see most creators do wrong, opening hook there, is they start off with talking about themselves. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, everybody. Nobody gives a crap who you are. That's not why they're on TikTok. They're on TikTok to be distracted, be entertained, or to be educated most of the time, right? They're not there to initially network. That comes later. So your job is to stop the scroll of infinite content with the swipe of a thumb. So you need to create that curiosity gap.
So a lot of these strategic ideas, like creating hooks, things like
Yeah.
that, sometimes they feel like trickery, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
So
That's okay.
should we trick people into engaging with our content?
If you want better results, I would say yes. It's the world that we live in right now. The short answer is if you want to shortcut your success, yes, play the game. There's a term called ethical clickbait, which is basically sensationalizing a headline or your opening hook, but then actually delivering on it. We're not in the old SEO days where you're adding tags of like Justin Bieber, new release, and then your articles about shoe shining just to get people on there. That's like a complete clickbait, bait and switch, has nothing to do with the topic. But if I say, these websites feel illegal to know, it's very much a sensationalized headline. There are extremely useful websites. The play is that they're so useful that this information feels illegal. This information should be gatekeep. If I abuse this website, I'm gonna, they're gonna come for me because I've taken. So it is manipulating. It's leaning into human psychology. You can fight it all you want. These are just the best practices. This is just what's gained me billions of views and millions of followers, and I've coached people the same. If that doesn't resonate with you, you do you and forge your own path. All I can do is share the advice that I've seen work really well and make life-changing revenue. And occasionally you might ruffle a feather or two, but welcome to the internet. No matter what you create, you're going to get haters and you're going to get trolls in the content. So you might as well understand that all these platforms care about is more time on platforms so that they can put more ads in front of you, and that all they care about is more engagement. It doesn't matter if the engagement is positive or negative. And by just simply doing a couple little tweaks to elicit an emotional response in your content, or tricking or triggering them to continue watching a little bit longer and get a comment out of them or get them to share that video with someone, as long as the content in your video is helpful, it's genuinely helpful, it shares a piece of information, it provides entertainment, there's nothing wrong with that in my opinion. And it's just the nature of the beast right now.
How are you recommending we pick where to play? Like which, because there's so, I don't want to necessarily do all the media channels, but I might want to do
Yep.
some or start with one. How are you thinking about like where you are or where you recommend other people should be?
Yeah, that's a great, concept. You don't have to be everywhere. I am active on every platform, but my main platform is Facebook by far. I'm posting 20 to 25 times a day on Facebook right now.
Can we
And
stop there for 1 second? Like, what the hell are you doing on Facebook? I did see that in the book, but why is
yeah,
this still relevant? Why are you the only person raising that flag?
it's where I get the most organic reach. It's where I get paid the most from the platform. It's where I get the most sales and have developed the most multiple streams of income. It's where the vast majority of my networking comes from. It's where I get the most speaking engagements. It's where my business partner relationships have come from. I mentioned this in the book, how I cold DM'd Scott Simpson, who owned Video Marketing World at the time, and got my first main stage speaking engagement, and we became friends. To now we're business partners on AI Marketing World, our in-person conference. That came from DMs on Facebook. It's just where my demographic and the slightly older demographic is. It's where my friends that have podcasts and have big followings and they're writing books. It's where all of our networking happens in between going to conferences. It's where my group, the people that I want to reach and the people that I like to engage with and connect with, and it's where I have the most fun. That's where they live. And so you have to think about that same question for yourself. Where is the audience that you enjoy spend or that you want to reach spending all of their time? This is going to vary industry to industry. If you're a professional, you're in B2B, and you only want to reach C-level executives, it might be LinkedIn. LinkedIn might be the one where you spend the vast majority of your time. And fortunately, you don't need to create that much content on Facebook, as Facebook. LinkedIn, you're good. Like if you post one thing a day and you're spending 15 minutes a day commenting on other people, you're like in the top percentile of users engaging on LinkedIn, because it's kind of like there's a lot of lurkers and not a lot of creators. So there's a massive gap opportunity if you just freaking create consistently over there. But it might be Instagram, it might be TikTok, it might be YouTube, it might be podcasting and audio only podcasting. I'd recommend doing a video podcast. We were talking about that. But you have to figure out, do your own diligence. Maybe you've already noticed some little trends. Now we live in this beautiful AI world again, where we can use deep research mode on any of these LLMs and say, this is what I do. This is my ideal client persona. I want to start creating content for that ICP that brings awareness, is broad top of funnel, but also educates them and turns into lead generation. Please do a deep dive into the internet to figure out where my core demographic hangs out most of the time and what social media platform it is, and then develop a 30-day content strategy for me based on everything that you know about me and the content that I create, so that I can have an action driven plan that I can customize and then go execute on. And deep research will do that, and it'll outline it for you, and it'll give you everything that you need. My answer on our first podcast was totally different than it is today. I'm leveraging AI for as much as I possibly can to enhance my creativity. It's not a full replacement, it's an enhancement for everything that I'm doing. It's saving me tons of time doing all of this research or making my own assumptions, spending time failing. But yeah, you don't need to be, you can add platforms to the mix later on. Make one platform your main platform and let it be your new norm. And then if you're like, all right, this year I'm going to give Instagram a shot, then add it to the mix a little bit and then go one by one. You don't have to be everything for everyone, everywhere, all of the time.
Yeah, I agree. And if you guys want the deeper dive, the playbook, so to speak, check out Virality. That you can go to austinarmstrong.ai to find that. Virality, your playbook for how to use AI and social media marketing to go viral and get paid. Just want to
Yes,
shout that
sir.
out again. Let's do some rapid fire because you do cover a lot of these topics, and I just want to get a couple of these kind of nuggets that I thought were interesting out.
Okay.
Uh, you answered the first one, which is Facebook still relevant? But let's jump to Threads. Why are you bullish on Threads?
I'm bullish on anything that Meta puts a ridiculous amount of money into. I like that it directly connects to Instagram, and you have a built-in following over there. So if you're growing on Instagram, you basically already have a following on Threads. Much like LinkedIn, there's a lot of people on there. They've reported several hundred million. That might be several hundred million bots for I don't know. But there is a lot of engagement over there, and there's just not a lot of people creating content. So if you're already creating content, put it on Threads as well, and it's probably an opportunity that your competitors are not leaning into.
What is your TikTok funnel strategy? I've seen a 75, 15, 5, 5. What is
Yep.
that strategy?
Yeah, most of the time I stay in broad awareness oriented content. 75% is up there. Conversion oriented content, sales oriented content, and then limited time offer oriented content. Basically, if I'm doing a specific promotional deal or something like that. I love being in the growth mode. That's the type of content that I create. And then the funnel is really specific for TikTok, is just driving people either into your DMs or just that link in your bio. That can be a email opt-in, and then your email list sells them to something else. Right now, I think my link in my TikTok bio is just go buy my book. It's just an Amazon link because I'm just driving as much traffic as I can to that.
There's so many spaces today to be a
Yeah.
creator, to express yourself. Pick one. Like pick one,
Yeah,
guys. Just there's the opportunity is still there. You're not too late to the game.
100%.
This has been so inspiring, and I know that they can get the book and get deeper into all the pages that I was burning through here. Virality, check it out. Austin Armstrong. Hey, any last messages? Like what keeps you motivated? What are you excited about? Share a message with our audience today.
Yeah, I'm really excited about all the people that buy the book so that they can take a picture and do
Yep,
this.
yep.
That's my little fun social media trend. I'm excited about the opportunity of AI right now. I have everything that we're doing at my software company, Syllabi, really excites me. Basically, we're now rolling out the ability to create ads at scale that are ready for television, ready for advertising across Meta, YouTube, TikTok. We've just automated the entire process of upload an image or just give a little bit of basic information, and we'll create you a hyper realistic multi-scene ad on anything that you want. And I think that is going to completely change the game of advertising and video marketing. Syllabi is a tool that basically automates your video production, saves you 70% of time and budget on creating videos. And everything up to this point in there has been organic focus. But as we enter in the ad tech space, we're creating a tool that's going to allow us to create ad variables to grow our own tool. It's a very like incestuous flywheel type thing. I love businesses that can use itself to grow itself. And that's the monster that we've created here. And it's just a blessing to see how it's helped so many people.
Yeah, and if that got your interest, we'll have the link in the show notes. That's syllabi with the Y at the end, .io. And Austin, thanks so much. I mean, we could do this for another couple hours, man. There was so
Absolutely.
much in the book, so much value. Thank you, and thank you for sharing your time and your knowledge, and hopefully some inspiration for our audience out there. Get out there, no more
Yep.
excuses. You've got the playbook right there in your hand. And thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Brands on brand.